Hello, everybody. Welcome back to PW IELTS and TOEFL Prep. My name is Vandana, and this is IELTS Premier League. Now, how are you guys? Hello, Bhavya. I remember your name. Glad to be here. Seriously. Uh, this channel helped me a lot. My grammar is a little weak, especially in writing. So, any tips for that? We'll very soon come with the grammar series for you, Bhavya. Very good evening, Prabjot. How are you guys? So glad to see all of you here. Okay, now let's focus on the agenda for today without deviating to other topics. Let's just talk about the agenda that we have today. And because it's the listening module that we are dealing with, I am really hoping that you guys are sitting with a notebook and pens in your hands because you will be required to write down your answers. And if you do not have notebook and pens in your hands, be ready to type your answers in the comment section or in the chat box. Right. Hi Prabjot, hi Bhavya. Hello Rohit. I hope all of you are doing great and you had a great day so far. Chalo, let's quickly get started and dive deep into it. We are going to do notes completion question type of IELTS listening. Now, notes completion, which level? We are going to do part 4 level, which is little advanced level. I think if you guys are preparing for IELTS, तो आपको पता होगा that listening module is divided in 4 parts and the level of difficulty increases as you proceed. That means part 1 and 2 are way more simpler than part 3 and 4. So the exercises that we are going to do today are of part 4 level, right? And we are going to do notes completion question type, which is a very usual question type in the 4th part of listening module. Now, before we start, let's take some quick tips and some quick, you should know these things. And before that, after you know these things, then we will play the audio and dive deep into the practice. The very first thing, if anybody is a newbie here, you should know that part 4 is a monologue. Monologue means when only one person speaks. A lecture kind of thing, a talk, nobody else interrupts. It's not a conversation. So that's a monologue. No pauses. So till part 3, what happens is that you are given 30 seconds and 30
Part
seconds,
4.
2 chunks of 30 seconds to read your questions. However, in part 4, there's no pause. You are simply given 1 minute at a stretch to read questions, and the entire 10 answers then come one after another without any pause. I'm sure you know this. So once the audio starts, there will not be any pause for another 5-6 minutes. Okay. So in those 5-6 minutes, you will have to be super focused, right? Okay, so you will hear academic vocabulary in 4th part and complex ideas. ऐसा इसलिए because in 4th part the talk that they deliver, the lecture that they deliver is on an academic topic. That is why you will hear academic ideas, complex vocabulary, something like that. Moving on. Okay, use that 1 minute time given to you for reading properly, and while reading we will underline keywords, we will highlight keywords, because obviously you don't have the control to digital board. I have the control, so I will highlight the keywords for you. But when you are practicing yourself, you must highlight and underline the keywords. And also predict the type of word. ये बहुत important है guys, बहुत important है. See, notes completion question type होता क्या है? It is nothing but fill-ups. In fill-ups, I always tell my students that grammar matters, okay? Now, whatever word you are writing in that blank should fit in grammatically. And if you have even a little bit knowledge of these things like nouns, pronouns, adjectives, you are able to understand, you are able to predict that what kind of word am I going to get in this blank. So utilize that knowledge. For example, if it says that dash causes imbalance, expect a noun. What causes imbalance? Pollution, maybe? Right? Identify topic shifts. So suddenly in part 4, I have seen this happening all the time. Suddenly, I mean, they would talk about ancient developments and then they would move to recent developments. This is just one example I am giving to you. And this ancient and recent thing that I'm telling you, it's usually mentioned in the subheadings, right? So always focus on those subheadings. One common thing that happens all the time with students is कि जहां पे एक आंसर मिस हुआ नहीं, वहां पे बस आप लोग अटक जाते हो, आप लोग आगे नहीं बढ़ना चाहते, आप लोगों को 2 मिनट तक वहां पे रोना होता है कि ओहो एक आंसर मिस हो गया. नाउ व्हेन दैट हैपेंस यू लूज योर ट्रैक इन द ऑडियो. वैसे तो ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए, मिस हो गया तो हो गया, you should move ahead. But if at all you are not able to move ahead, you want to sulk there, how exactly will you get back on track? By focusing on, of course, keywords and subheadings. Okay, subheadings will tell you how the topic shifts, and we will see that today also in the practice exercise. Moving on, you very well know about distractors. Part 1 से start हो जाते हैं distractors. So speaker may say one thing but then correct themselves, or they may add extra details. For example, they may say that, okay, it was 15%, but then they refuse like this. Actually, no, it was closer to 50%. So in this case, 50% will be our answer, not 15%, because they spoke 15% and then they refused it. It's a common gimmick that happens all the time in the listening module. I'm sure you are agree. I mean, you are aware of this thing. Moving on. Final few tips. Please check the word limit carefully, guys. If it allows you only one word, write only one word. And yes, if now this was a question that recently one of my students asked me. Now the question was that, ma'am, if they allow 3 word limit, if the instructions say that write no more than 3 words, does it mean that every blank should have 3 words? No, it doesn't mean that. If they are allowing 3 words to you, that means 3 words is the maximum limit. You can write 1 word also, you can write 2 words also, and a maximum of 3 words, but you can't go beyond 3 words. That's how it works. एंड पे अटेंशन टू सिंगुलर एंड प्लूरल केसेस. ये तो मैं बहुत बारी डिस्कस कर चुकी हूँ गाइज. ये एरर मत होने देना, स्पेशली इन टुडेज सेशन. I know how diligent you are. I see you guys in all sessions of mine. I know you guys are very regular and very diligent. ये सिर्फ मैं बोलने के लिए नहीं बोल रही हूँ, मुझे पता है आप लोग diligent हो. I know that for a fact. Now today I want you to show your diligence to me by 2 things. Number 1, I don't want a single spelling goof up. एक भी single spelling error नहीं होना चाहिए. Number 2, let me explain this quickly if somebody is new here. What do I mean by this? So for example, in the audio, if they say dog, but you end up writing dogs, that will be marked wrong. And in the audio, if they say dogs and you end up writing dog, that would also be marked wrong. So pay crucial attention to the pronunciation of singular and plural nouns. Be very careful there, and they will not try to confuse you here. Their pronunciation is very clear here. You just need to be focused. Right. Finally, spellings, I've already told you, I do not want a single spelling goof up, and I know you are not going to disappoint me. I know that. Moving on, let's get started with the very first practice exercise. Ready, guys? I need a yes or no in the chat box. Are you still with me? Okay. In that case, this monologue that we are going to begin with, this is about reclaiming urban rivers. So this is how every time a heading will be given to you. And as you can see, the word limit is you are allowed 1 word only. Now let's read the, okay, thank you for responding, Bhavya. Let's read the questions together and let's highlight the keywords for you quickly in just about a minute, right? And here we go. Right. So look, historical background. From historical background, see how they will move to recent improvements. That's how they change. Okay, let's start reading from the top. It says nearly all major cities were built on a river. Rivers were traditionally used by city dwellers for transport, fishing, and recreation. Recreation means fun for water sports, that kind of stuff. Industrial development and rising populations later led to more sewage from houses being discharged into the river. Pollution from dash on the river bank. Pollution from what? In 1957, great keyword, number. In 1957, River Thames in London was declared biologically dash. You have quite a few proper nouns, River Thames, London, and a number here. Coming to recent improvements, it says seals and even a dash have been seen in the river Thames. Riverside warehouses are converted to restaurants, and what exactly? In Los Angeles, there are plans to build a riverside dash, display dash projects. In Paris, dash are created on the sides of the river every summer. On the sides, what are created on the sides? And then finally, transport possibilities. It says over 2 billion passengers already travel by dash in cities around the world. Changes in shopping habits mean the number of deliveries that are made is increasing. Instead of road transport, goods could be transported by large freight barges and electric dash, or in future by dash. So it's super simple. Stay focused. Let's get started. Here you go, guys.
Part 4. You will hear part of a presentation by an urban planning student about the role of rivers in cities around the world. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
It's quite hard to think of a city that doesn't have a big river running through it. If you think about the major cities in the world, Shanghai, New York, Mumbai, London, they're nearly all built on rivers. When these cities were established hundreds or even thousands of years ago, the rivers were a big part of people's lives. In 16th century London, the quickest way to get from one part of the city to another was by river. But people also used the river for fishing, as the water then was relatively clean, and they would also go on boat trips up and down the river just for pleasure, as a relaxing escape from the noise and bustle of the city streets. But as industries developed and populations increased, city rivers suffered. The rising number of people meant there was a huge increase in the amount of sewage discharged into the rivers. Rivers had always been used for this purpose, but when the number of inhabitants was so small, that wasn't such a problem. However, as cities grew to over 1 million inhabitants, the impact on the rivers became more serious. In addition, other types of pollution increased as factories were built beside the river.
Just one sec, and my apologies for the trouble. Here you go.
Part 4. You will hear part of a presentation by an urban planning student about the role of rivers in cities around the world. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
Was it fine this time, guys? The voice quality. All right, let's just wait for a few more seconds. It will start.
Have some time to look at questions 30.
It's quite hard to think of a city that doesn't have a big river running through it. If you think about the major cities in the world, Shanghai, New York, Mumbai, London, they're nearly all built on rivers. When these cities were established hundreds or even thousands of years ago, the rivers were a big part of people's lives. In 16th century London, the quickest way to get from one part of the city to another was by river. But people also used the river for fishing, as the water then was relatively clean, and they would also go on boats. Part of people's lives. In 16th century London, the quickest way to get from one part of the city to another was by river. But people also used the river for fishing, as the water then was relatively clean, and they would also go on boat trips up and down the river just for pleasure, as a relaxing escape from the noise and bustle of the city streets. But as industries developed and populations increased, city rivers suffered. The rising number of people meant there was a huge increase in the amount of sewage discharged into the rivers. Rivers had always been used for this purpose, but when the number of inhabitants was so small, that wasn't such a problem. However, as cities grew to over 1 million inhabitants, the impact on the rivers became more serious. In addition, other types of pollution increased as factories were built beside the river and discharged their waste materials into the water. This got worse over time. As recently as 1957, scientists at London's Natural History Museum declared that the River Thames was dead in biological terms, as the water was too filthy to support any kind of life. But in recent years, as rivers lost their industrial function, cities have begun to recognize their true value and to take steps to clean them up. For example, the River Thames is now cleaner than it's been for 150 years. These days, you can see seals swimming in the water, and recently people had to try to rescue a whale, which had got lost and swum up the river from the sea by mistake. Unfortunately, they didn't succeed, but the problem was disorientation rather than the quality of the water. Then, all around the world, riverside areas are now seen as prime sites for development. Warehouses that were once used for storing goods are now being converted into expensive restaurants and also into apartments with river views, which are in great demand and sell for astronomical prices. In Los Angeles, on the west coast of the USA, an architect has plans to revitalize the banks of the river and to make a park there, which can provide facilities for sports as well as a natural environment for relaxing in. It's also hoped that the riverside can be used for other purposes. It's been proposed that facilities could be provided for displaying projects related to various kinds of art that have been produced by local people, for example. In the city of Paris, during the summer months of July and August, all the traffic is banned from the roads by the sides of the river, and the banks are transformed into beaches where people can relax in deck chairs under potted palm trees, sunbathe, or buy a drink or a snack while enjoying the view. But to make the most of our rivers in our increasingly crowded cities, We need to allow them to regain their original purpose and be used as a means of transport, reclaiming our streets from cars and lorries. To do this, we'll have to shift more traffic back to the river, but this time cleanly and silently, making the most of modern technology. Already, more than 2 billion passengers use the ferry to travel in cities around the world, like Istanbul, San Francisco, and New York. And these numbers are set to rise further. Admittedly, it's not a fast way of traveling, but neither is a car when it's stuck in traffic. Of course, passenger traffic on roads might decrease as more people start working from home. But another recent development, the huge rise in online shopping, has meant that another form of urban traffic just keeps on growing, and that's deliveries. Trucks and vans in the city pollute and double park while dropping off parcels. Imagine using the immense capacity of shipping to take these trucks off the road. One freight barge can replace 44 large trucks, uses far less energy, and causes less pollution. When the barge docks at the riverside, the parcels could be taken the last few kilometers to their final destination on cargo bikes, electric ones, of course. This is already happening in the Dutch city of Amsterdam, and in future, the final stage could even be carried out by drone, although at present this isn't allowed. Wouldn't it be great to unblock our city centers in this way? Looking further ahead.
All right, guys, let me see your answers. I hope the audio was fine. Let me see your answers, guys. All right, so Rohit says factories, dead, whale, apartments. All right. Perfect. Till apartments. Then he says park and art. Then we have beaches. Well done, Rohit. And 38th is ferry. And then bikes and drone. 10 on 10. Wow. What about the rest of you? Well done, Rohit. Have you already done these questions earlier, or you were doing it for the very first time with me here in this live? Be honest. Okay. For the rest of you, let me show all the answers at one place, and then you check your answers and let me know the score. Okay, Bhavya says terms. Bhavya, in your case, I think you have not posted 31. You have not posted, okay, 32 you have posted as terms. Okay, 32 is dead. Whale is correct. Apartments correct. Park, art, beach is correct. Ferry spelling error. It's FERRY. We are talking about ferry here. That means boats. Bikes, drone. Yeah, 8 on 10. Let me show you the correct answers, guys. Here you go. Check your score. Let me know your score in the chat box. And please let me know, do you want me to proceed with the other audio, the other exercise? Or do you have any doubts in this one and you want me to play this one again? Next or this one? Oh, wow. Well done, Rohit, in that case. Good job. You are acing it. Okay, in that case, let's move ahead because none of you here are saying that you want to listen to this audio again. So let's just move. But I would quickly go back and discuss just a couple of things. Yeah, so see, in this exercise, because of the audio goof up, what happened was you got a lot of time to read the questions, right? As good as 5 minutes, clearly. Let's compensate that in the next exercise. So, in the next exercise, I want you to do it yourself without me reading the questions, without me highlighting the questions. Straight away, I'll be playing the audio. In the audio itself, you will be given that 1 minute. Take that 1 minute strictly to read the questions yourself and start posting your answers in the chat box. That would be real time mock test way that I am now going to do. Okay, so next audio, I'm not going to read anything. I'm not going to explain. I'm not going to highlight anything. The ball is in your court. The only request I have is, as and when the answers come, keep them posting in the chat box rather than posting all in one go, because I believe you guys are noting down your answers in notebook and then you are transferring them here in the chat box, which takes a little bit of time. So straight away, post them in the chat box this time. How does that sound? Yeah? Are you game for it? I hope so. So here we go with the second practice exercise, developing food trends. And once again, write one word only. So your word limit is just one word. And here you go with the exercise. Please start reading. I am setting up the audio.
A new food trend. Part 4. You will hear part of a food science lecture on fashions in food. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40. There are trends in food, much as there are trends in clothing. Interest in food fashions has risen rapidly since the birth of the smartphone, when people first began taking photos of their food and instantly sharing them with their friends. The food industry in the UK in particular is obsessed with finding and exploiting the next big food trend. Marketeers aim to create a huge demand for a food item which was previously unknown or not needed. One of the most effective ways of promoting a new food product is by using social media influencers as brand ambassadors. In return for free samples, many influencers will post content about a product. Although there are influencers with hundreds of thousands of followers who can command large fees for their services. Companies which sell vegan produce were pioneers in being able to increase sales really quickly in this way. For a food item to become really popular, it has to be readily available. So supermarkets have a role to play in creating a new food trend. They have dedicated teams closely following which new products or ingredients are trending on social media and are particularly interested in what well-known chefs are putting on their menus. I'd like to look at a few examples of
To look at a few examples of marketing campaigns which were really successful in launching a new fashion trend. Starting in the 1990s with the avocado. A British PR company was hired to raise its profile and stimulate demand. They paid for a group of journalists to travel out to South Africa to meet avocado farmers. Articles written following this visit helped to educate the British public about the avocado, which at this time was certainly not the daily staple it's since become. Advertisements were designed to promote the avocado as a superfood, rich in nutrients and therefore beneficial for health. Avocados became hugely fashionable, and within a few years, UK avocado sales had grown from £13 million annually to around £150 million, making it one of the most successful fresh produce campaigns in UK history. Oat milk is a recent example of a new product which became fashionable very quickly. Now there are many brands available, but one company which had early success was the Swedish brand Oatly. They attracted a lot of attention with a media campaign which used provocation as a way of getting their message across effectively. The fact that this campaign aggravated competitors producing milk from dairy cows was seen as a plus, as it helped to make oat milk seem cool. In the USA, the brand decided against a big retail launch in favor of getting the product into coffee chains, which removed the need for a big advertising budget. This proved far more effective than offering samples in supermarkets. Oat milk had an advantage over other alternative milk products, such as almond milk. Many consumers prefer it because it has less of an impact on the environment. It requires significantly less water to produce than other alternative milk products, and it also has a relatively low carbon footprint. Norwegian scray, a rarely available seasonal fish delicacy, otherwise known as Arctic cod, is now found on the menus of Michelin-starred restaurants throughout Europe. The demand for scray has been used by a food marketing agency to build the reputation of Norway's fisheries in general. Marketing surveys have shown that a significant number of shoppers now associate Norway with excellent seafood. Food trends can be considered a good thing in some ways, as they can benefit farmers and food producers enormously. The public can also be encouraged to buy things which are more sustainably produced. But ethical concerns have been raised about the effects a surge in demand can cause. Quinoa is a classic example. This plant is native to Peru, and when demand peaked some years ago, the price soared, making it unaffordable for local people. While the popularity of quinoa has benefited farmers financially, there have been other negative consequences. As demand grew, farmers began working the land all year round in order to produce more quinoa. One issue has been that the fertility of the soil decreased dramatically, which could potentially lead to desertification in some areas. Another example would be the case of...
That is the end of part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to part 4.
All right, well done, guys. This time I did not mark any keywords on screen. I did not read the questions for you. You got strict 1 minute to read the questions, and still you did a fabulous, fabulous job. I can see that here. pat your backs. But yes, this monologue, this made me feel hungry. I'm eating first thing after this live gets over. Okay, jokes apart, Rohit and Bhavya, you guys have been doing great job. But what about others? Let me see your answers also, guys. Why only two of you are posting the answers? Okay, check your score, everybody. Let me know how much did you score out of 10. These are the answers. I think Bhavya and Rohit, you guys scored 10 on 10. एक जगह गड़बड़ हुई है Bhavya in the word demand. Otherwise, rest seems fine. What about the rest of you? Let me know your score. Is it 10 on 10, 9 on 10? Even if it's not a great score, let me see. Only then will I be able to help you. You want to go for coffee? I really want to eat something. And I am definitely doing that after this live. This monologue was the wrong kind of monologue. It has made me feel hungry. But yes, the rest of you guys, tell me the score. ठीक है, आप लोग शायद बताने के मूड में नहीं हो. 9 on 10. All right, thank you, Bhavya. And the rest of you, in fact, all of you, do you want me to play any bit once again of this exercise? Anywhere that you are confused? Okay. In that case, let's call it a wrap. I hope I was able to help you some little tidbit, and I'll keep on doing my best so that you are able to accomplish your dreams. I'll see you very soon in the next lecture. Bye bye, everyone. Take care.